The Mo River, a challenge legendary in the Wang family scrolls, had always been seen as nearly impossible to overcome. With its status as one of the top 5 most difficult Yudu-level Mo rivers, it was clear why even the mighty Saber Saint, after years of effort, failed to conquer it. But when Li Hao returned unharmed, the true reason became clear. He had completed the Mo River trial. Wang Yongji, upon realizing this, stared in awe. The Mo River was no mere legend. It had driven the Wang family to cede territory after many soldiers fell trying to tame it, and yet Li Hao had navigated its deadly trials, all while the emperor had dismissed it as unsolvable. Everyone had suspected him, but with Li Hao evading capture and the growing chaos around him, no one truly thought he had succeeded. Now, the truth stood before them. Li Hao had faced the impossible and emerged victorious. Against all odds, the impossible had become possible. The evidence was undeniable. The information on the gold paper about the Mo River couldn't be deceiving. At that moment, there was no force powerful enough to influence the Mo River, except perhaps the Ksitigarbha Buddha statue brought from its depths, which might hold the key to altering its flow. Amid the chaos, a middle-aged man, filled with excitement, shouted out, claiming that he had known all along who was behind it. "I told you it was him! Who denied it? Who told me to come here? Stand up!" His words echoed through the crowd, until a quiet voice from beside him reminded him of who the real culprits were. The man immediately froze, feeling the cold sting of 2 piercing gazes from across the room. His bravado evaporated as a chill ran down his spine, and in an attempt to salvage some dignity, he muttered about stepping outside for some fresh air. His words were barely heard in the vast hall, but he bowed, reluctantly offering his congratulations, albeit awkwardly, to Li Hao, the Haotian Divine General. He stepped outside, claiming he needed air, but what he really did was shake the entire Divine General world. Faces around him froze in disbelief, eyebrows twisted in awe and confusion. This wasn't just a general anymore, this was someone on par with the legendary founders of the 5 great mansions. With nothing but his own hands, he jump-started the era of the Merit Treasure Vault, then went on to single-handedly rescue 3 provinces from collapse. 2 monstrous feats, 1 unstoppable man. If the world found out that he was Chang'e, chaos would erupt across every border. Even the old-timers like Wang Zhenping squinted at the golden record, rechecking it like it might vanish if they blinked. And then came the burn. Those confident words in the hall earlier now slapped back like cold water. All their secrets, all their pride, meant nothing in front of the one who now sat at the very top of the merit list. And when the term Divine General dropped, Li Hao just blinked in confusion, because the man who said it wasn't the kind to speak lightly. Li Hao was caught off guard as Wang Yongji's eyes widened in surprise, but then everything clicked into place. "No wonder you didn't show up to claim it. His Majesty is granting you the title of Divine General. Opening the Merit Treasure Vault has had an enormous impact. It's not just solved the Mo River crisis, but also elevated the potential of martial artists. This is a legacy that will last for generations." Li Hao blinked, still processing the news. Divine General? A title so great? And yet he hadn't known a thing about it? But then again, he'd only just returned. Perhaps this was old news by now, and his true identity still remained a mystery to everyone. Is there any other reward? Li Hao asked, curiosity piqued. Wang Yongji hesitated, then replied, "There might be something else. But to know for sure, you'll need to meet His Majesty himself." Li Hao stared at the glowing map above the Ksitigarbha Buddha's head, the golden points of light dancing as he asked, "Which one should we pick?" As if snapping out of a trance, Wang Yongji laughed, his eyes lighting up with excitement. "I just remembered. I'm free right now. I'll accompany you." Others quickly joined in, offering their help with only 2 elders, Wang Zhenfeng and Wang Zhenping, staying quiet. Wang Zhenfeng, ever the observer, grinned at the unusual display of enthusiasm from the usually composed individuals. Wang Zhenping, however, remained silent, weighed down by something unspoken. Wang Yongji, with a mock glare, turned to Li Hao. "Haoshan Divine General, you don't mind, do you?" "Not at all," Li Hao replied with a slight shake of his head, his expression calm. With a sigh of relief, Wang Yongji produced a gold paper, detailing his many exploits in various battles, each event adding to his merit. Li Hao glanced at the document. Although the merit was far less than his own, it showed the breadth of Wang Yongji's involvement, each battle adding a piece to the growing story of their struggle. The group gathered their gold papers, and with a single gesture, Wang Yongji directed Li Hao's attention to a golden light glowing on the map. "Focus your divine thought here," he instructed. Li Hao did as told, and soon, his consciousness was pulled into the golden glow. His Dao domain instinctively wrapped around him, and in an instant, he felt his body lifted, following the light into another realm. The sensation of travel soon faded, and he found himself standing in a desolate town. The silence was overwhelming. Banners fluttered in the wind, but the buildings were ruined, and charred corpses lay motionless along the streets. The atmosphere was suffocating, eerie. Golden light surrounded him as the others joined, entering the Mo River with him. "Is this the place?" Li Hao asked. Wang Yongji surveyed the area and nodded. "Yes, this is the Mo River. Let's find where Uncle Zhendong is." Without hesitation, his divine soul shot out from his feet and dove into the ground, but it quickly emerged again, his expression one of surprise. "What's happening? The strength of the rules here has increased," he remarked. In the depths of the Mo River, the power of the rules had always existed, but now it was more intense than ever. As Wang Yongji stepped into the Mo River, he remembered the strange rule Li Hao had warned him about: hands and feet reversed. To move normally, he had to trick his mind, think with his hands to use his feet, and vice versa. Though it was only another world-level Mo River with limited restrictions, something felt off. Not only was his body affected, his divine soul couldn't rise as intended. Instead, it dove into the earth, disoriented. Li Hao noticed the anomaly and grew cautious. Feng's remnant soul was still nearby, and any disruption could be disastrous. Suddenly, Wang's expression turned grave. Experience told him such changes were never good. But soon, his divine soul located a familiar presence at the town's edge. "I found Uncle Zhendong. Follow me," he said. Though his body faltered oddly, first stepping back, then forward with clumsy motion, struggling to adapt to the twisted logic of the river's rule. The group faced an overwhelming challenge as the rules of the Mo River began to shift in ways they had never imagined. What seemed like a mere change in direction was quickly revealed to be a far more dangerous anomaly. The very nature of the Mo River was transforming, and with it, the group was forced to rethink their approach to everything. With each step, they had to move backward in order to advance, struggling against the unrelenting forces of the environment. As they battled to maintain control, Li Hao, ever the leader, extended his Dao domain, ensuring the safety of those around him. His attention was drawn to a dark rift outside the town, a harbinger of even more dreadful events to come. His divine perception could not penetrate the abyss, and as he ventured closer, a bone-chilling cold seemed to emanate from it, instilling an instinctive sense of peril. He knew they were not yet prepared for what lay ahead, but he was determined to lead them through it. Li Hao's Dao domain spread out, and the members of the Wang family couldn't help but feel a sense of envy. It was the power of the Grand Tao of the Peace Realm, something entirely beyond reason. Any attempt at resisting was futile. Soon, Li Hao led the group to the edge of the town, where they found 4 figures seated. Among them, an old man, strong and imposing with a chiseled face, his eyes burning with intensity, sat surrounded by a young man, a young woman, and a middle-aged person. "Uncle Zhendong," Wang Yongji said with great respect. Seeing the elder, this was the current pillar of the Wang family. However, the old man's expression darkened as he noticed their arrival. "Why are so many of you here?" he asked, his voice heavy with frustration. Wang Yongji hurriedly responded, "Uncle Zhendong, what's going on?" Without wasting a moment, the elder replied, his voice grim, "The Mo River is about to merge." His gaze shifted to the group, darkening further as he added with rising anger, "Who allowed you all to enter? Do they want to die?" The question echoed, and everyone's face turned pale. It was a rare sight. Uncle Zhendong, usually so composed, was now filled with rage. Fusion? Has it collided with a Yudu-level Mo River? One of them asked, uncertainty in their voice. "But there aren't any Mo Rivers near here, right?" "No," Zhendong replied, his gaze heavy. "It's one that reached here recently, a hell-level Mo River." The air thickened, and the gravity of his words hit them like a thunderclap. A hell-level Mo River? That was beyond terrifying, a realm of danger even for the mightiest cultivators. It was a force that could annihilate anyone, no matter their power. The Mo River, now merging with another, created chaos beyond their comprehension. Wang Yongji felt his body go cold, every inch of him trembling. The atmosphere had shifted, and they all realized this was no ordinary threat. The Wang family had always known the dread behind a hell-level Mo River. Its name alone meant near certain doom. So when the Mi River began merging with that unspeakable current, panic surged. "How can this be?" someone shouted, while others scrambled, only to find the exit gone and even their Mie River register useless. These weren't ordinary bystanders. They were key pillars of the Wang family, and if they fell here, the clan's foundation would crack. The rare merging they stumbled upon felt like witnessing a ghost, something not meant to be seen. Wang Yongzi, frustrated and desperate, called out to Wang Zhendong, who stood firm. "Why aren't you leaving?" he asked. But Zhendong, eyes locked on the churning rivers, replied with a grim frown. "I want to, but this is a once-in-a-millennium moment. If we return later, it may be full. Hell here, no netherworld rules to shield us. Even I wouldn't survive that." In the depths of the netherworld and hell-level Mo rivers, a rare and terrifying chance presents itself. The mighty forces of these rivers clash in a violent struggle, and among them stands a powerful figure, facing down a situation no one could have foreseen. With tension mounting, the group races forward, only to realize they've been pulled into an ominous storm, one that could easily swallow them whole. But just when hope seems lost, a glimmer of hope shines through as a path to escape becomes clear. With tokens in hand, the group gathers their strength and moves forward, unsure of the dangers that still await, but resolved to survive and uncover the dark mysteries at the heart of this perilous journey. He turned to Li Hao, Haotian Divine General. "You've heard the situation. It's about to get dangerous here. We must leave immediately." Before Li Hao could respond, Wang Zhendong raised his eyebrows sharply. "What did you call him?" He had previously dismissed Li Hao, but recognized his status. So young, yet commanding the Dao domain, there is only one such youth in all of Dayu, the Haoshin General from Liangzhou. Wang Zhendong had come personally under the Emperor's secret orders to deal with the task at hand, clearing the netherworld Ming River. He understood the Emperor's trust, realizing how envious other divine general mansions must be of such a prodigious son. But there was a vast difference between general and divine. General, one must never mistake the two, Haoxian. The two young juniors beside Wang Zhendong were stunned, staring at Li Hao. Wang Yongzhu, seeing his uncle's displeasure and fearing he would take his anger out on Li Hao, quickly sent a message to explain. "What?" Wang Zhendong's frown deepened as he heard Wang Yongzhi's message, his shock evident as he turned toward Li Hao. "Chang'er? The one who topped the merit list by a landslide?" Li Hao stared intently, declaring he'd send everyone out first and face the danger alone. He couldn't rest without trying his best. The others were stunned by his resolve. Could he be connected to the Thief Saint? Wang Yongzhi urged him not to risk himself, reminding him of the bright future ahead, but Li Hao simply shook his head. It was a separate matter. Silence followed. Many succeed, but few return to the chaos for others. Wang Zhendong looked toward the thick, creeping mist and promised to get them out first, then help Li Hao find a way. Li Hao called out, but Zhendong snapped, "Let's go! Stop dawdling!" As he activated his Dao domain to shield them, it collided with Li Hao's. Meeting incredible resistance, this young man's Dao domain was terrifying. Unbeknownst to him, Li Hao had already publicly taken down two great demons at Qingzhou, a glimpse of the power that had even slain a Buddha Lord. Li Hao stared with unwavering determination, declaring he would send everyone out first and face the danger alone. He couldn't rest easy without giving it his all. The others, especially Wang Yongzhi, were stunned by his resolve, even suspecting some hidden connection between him and the elusive Thief Saint. Yet Wang solemnly reminded him of his youth and future potential, urging him not to risk it all. Li Hao simply shook his head. It was a separate matter. Silence fell as that truth settled in. True greatness didn't mean avoiding sacrifice. Then, as the creeping fog edged closer, Wang Zhendong took charge, promising to help after ensuring the others' safety. But when he tried to shield Li Hao with his Dao domain, it was met with fierce resistance. Li Hao's power was overwhelming. The full weight of his past victories, including the public defeat of mighty demons in Qingzhou, now became clear. In the midst of a harrowing situation, Li Hao quickly grasped the reality of a powerful saying: great renown is never based on falsehoods. As he stands with Wang Zhendong, it's clear that the stakes are higher than ever. The two prepare to face the terrifying Helming River, a force so powerful it could yield unimaginable merit or devastation. Wang Zhendong reassures Li Hao, emphasizing that they will both study the river's mysteries carefully. While it's unclear if the Wang family's theories about the river's potential are true, the danger is undeniable. As they head toward the ominous black fog, Zhendong urges everyone to move quickly, understanding that their presence could soon become a burden. With a token from the Netherworld, Ming River in hand, the group is ready for what lies ahead, though no one can say for certain whether they'll make it out alive. In a world where even stepping into the Ancestral Hall is a life-threatening challenge, the Wang family stands apart. With dangerous mutated demons lurking, only their expert forces have cleared a safe path. As the tension rises, Wang Yongzhi hands over a piece to Li Hao before summoning his own Ming River Register. Gold paper emerges, its radiant light enveloping them, its glow pulling at their very essence, with part of it covering their bodies and the rest landing on a black wooden tablet. But just as quickly, the tablet crumbles to dust. Shocked gasps fill the air as Wang Zhendong and the others witness dozens of their own tablets shattering under the same gold light. The escape route they had counted on now lay in ruins. The Ming River fused, the rules changed, and the tokens changed too. Wang Zhendong exclaims, his usual composure slipping as the unexpected happens. Even Li Hao, his face betraying a hint of concern, realizes that the Netherworld Ming River's tokens have become useless, forcing him to quickly summon his own Ming River Register as the eerie glow of the gold paper casts its unsettling spell once more. In a world where even stepping into the Ancestral Hall is a life-threatening challenge, the Wang family stands apart. With dangerous mutated demons lurking, only their expert forces have cleared a safe path. As the tension rises, Wang Yongzhi hands over a piece to Li Hao before summoning his own Ming River Register. Gold paper emerges, its radiant light enveloping them, its glow pulling at their very essence, with part of it covering their bodies and the rest landing on a black wooden tablet. But just as quickly, the tablet crumbles to dust. Shocked gasps fill the air as Wang Zhendong and the others witness dozens of their own tablets shattering under the same gold light. The escape route they had counted on now lay in ruins. The Ming River fused, the rules changed, and the tokens changed too. Wang Zhendong exclaims, his usual composure slipping as the unexpected happens. Even Li Hao, his face betraying a hint of concern, realizes that the Netherworld Ming River's tokens have become useless, forcing him to quickly summon his own Ming River Register as the eerie glow of the gold paper casts its unsettling spell once more. As he neared the border where fog met town, an ominous force sensed his presence, dark energy stretched out like writhing tentacles, clutching at his limbs. His whole being ignited with brilliance, Dao Domain coiling tight around him like armor, pushing against the oppressive rules of the Helmo River. Stepping into its shadowy edge, the darkness recoiled briefly under his might, but not for long. Like a swarm of claws, black power surged forward, tearing into his defenses. With a thunderous roar, he unleashed everything, his Dao Domain battling fiercely, but it compressed under relentless pressure. Then strike. A sharp black spear of vapor pierced from behind, ripping open his Dao Domain. His body convulsed, veins bulging, heart pounding with dread. Was this the rule of hell? His strength held for barely 2 breaths, and this was only the edge. A sharp hiss cut through the air. He tried to retreat, but the darkness anticipated it. Wrapping tighter, though his mind screamed to withdraw, his body was instead dragged deeper, vanishing into the river's grip. In the Helmo River, rules shift unpredictably, making it a terrifying place to navigate. Uncle Zhendong realizes this danger when he feels the immense power of the river's many fluctuating laws, each one more terrifying than the last. The rules are constantly changing, leaving him with no choice but to move forward, even as his strength begins to drain. His body is caught between reversing and not, leaving him feeling trapped. But as the dark power spreads, he senses something more sinister, a force controlling these rules. making them impossible to predict. Desperately struggling, Uncle Zhendong feels the weight of his fate as a powerful force suddenly sweeps toward him from behind. The dark forces that once threatened were swiftly driven back, dissipating like snow in the Sunday. The immense pressure on the Dao was immediately relieved. A strong, slender hand gripped his arm. Turning, Uncle Zhendong saw layers upon layers of Dao domains surrounding his body, one layer after another, each emitting a powerful, protective force. Despite the relentless assault of dark energies against the outermost Dao domain, the layers held firm, keeping the threat at bay. There were at least 10 layers in total. Let's go! Li Hao said, pulling him towards the small town. I'll handle this. Wait for me. With that, Li Hao surged ahead, leaving Uncle Zhendong behind, and dove into the dense, dark fog. Moments later, Uncle Zhendong, sent flying, managed to escape the grasp of the Hell-Level Mo River, returning to the safety of the town. As he sensed the reversal of the rules, a familiar warmth washed over him. He had narrowly escaped death, his ultimate move still held in check, as the battle was far from over. Wang Zhendong clenched his fists, tension running through his frame as Wang Yongzhi held his breath, desperate to pierce the suffocating darkness. Outside the town, where the eerie aura thickened, Li Hao's Dao domain flared up like a defiant beacon, shielding him from the Mo River's oppressive rules while navigating forward under the gold paper's guidance. Layer upon layer of Dao domain held the corruption at bay, but the pressure mounted relentlessly. Then, Li Hao arrived at a broken, wind-whipped flag that read Qingtown, only to realize, with a jolt, that another identical town loomed behind it. A haunting replica of the one he just left. A twisted mirror birthed from the Hell-Level Mo River's terrifying illusion. Though armed with his divine thought and past experience, the sight unsettled even him. The truth about this river ran bone deep with mystery, a place the Wang family barely understood despite sacrificing lives for scraps of knowledge. Beneath the flags, a line of wooden plaques dangled in the wind, eerily familiar yet darkened by the surrounding energy tokens like the totem Wang Yongzhi had given him, but now cloaked in shadow. As Li Hao braved forward, his mind turned to everything he knew. The higher the Mo River's level, the wider its grasp, and this one, a hell-level river, twisted even reality itself. Wang Zhendong clenched his fists as tension crackled in the air, while Wang Yongzhi held his breath, eyes straining into the darkness. Out beyond the town, Li Hao's Dao domain blazed defiantly against the oppressive rules of the Hell-Level Mo River, its 10 stacked layers pushing back the dark tide as he followed the gold paper's path. But even with such power, the corruption was creeping in. He soon stumbled upon tattered flags bearing the words Qing Town, and behind them a second, eerily identical town. The chilling realization hit him. This Hell-Level Mo River had mirrored the town itself. Knowledge of this realm was scarce, its secrets bought with blood. Under the damaged banners, wooden plaques dangled from red strings, their aura darker than the totem Wang Yongzhi had given him. The deeper the river, the wider its reach, and Li Hao was diving straight into its heart. The Hell-Level Mo River, far from being confined to a single town, had woven itself into the very fabric of the land, reshaping what seemed to be a town into something far darker and more mysterious. Its power had rendered the town's original totem useless, only to be replaced by an identical one, now hanging outside the town instead of within the ancestral hall, likely due to the merging process. Li Hao, undeterred, sprinted toward the new totem, fully aware of the Mo River's terrifying nature. Despite rumors of great rewards for crossing it, he knew it wasn't something to take lightly. Just as his hand reached out for the totem, the air around him thickened with dark energy, and grotesque, ghostly figures surged from the fog, rushing at him with terrifying speed. With a flick of his Dao domain, Li Hao obliterated them in an instant, only for them to regenerate as the domain tightened. These beings weren't just mindless creatures. They were imbued with the Mo River's essence. Furious at his intrusion, more of them emerged from the mist, their roars deafening as they charged. But Li Hao wasn't about to engage in a deadly battle. With his Dao domain, he carved a path through the onslaught, pressing forward toward his goal. The creatures, once released from the Dao domain, swiftly reformed from their scattered liquid state and gathered to hunt down Li Hao. Surrounded on both sides, Li Hao found himself in the midst of these ghostly entities in an instant. Fearlessly, they broke into the Dao domain, attacking with the force of a full-force strike from the ultimate study realm, undeterred by the prospect of death. As they crowded into the Dao domain, they extended the Mo River's rules, causing Li Hao to feel his domain rapidly being overtaken. His expression changed as he realized that these creatures might be the physical manifestation of the hell-level Mo River's power. With a roar, Li Hao forced them out, his punches sending the creatures away. Their bodies carried the indelible Great Tao True Force, leaving him no choice but to push them out. Meanwhile, outside, Wang Zhendong and the others anxiously watched, their faces filled with dread and tension. The hell-level Mo River, Wang Zhendong muttered gravely. One ancestor once summoned a true person to intervene, but even he was injured and never dared to return. With the Dao domain eroded in mere moments, the tension grew even heavier. "He can't have already," someone whispered, their face pale with concern. Wang Yongji's heart tightened with dread, knowing that the death of the Haodian Divine General and the fall of a 16-year-old with the potential to reach sage level would be an unbearable burden. Just as dread loomed over the shaken town, a tidal wave of dark omens surged skyward, only to be ripped apart by a burst of radiant silver light so fierce it split the darkness like dawn tearing through night. With a thunderous bang, a sword's energy pierced the air, colder than ice, cleaving the Hell Mo River wide open. The shockwave roared out, lifting hair and hearts alike. Within that divine light stood Li Hao, bursting forth from the chasm, clutching red-threaded wooden tags. But crawling around him, a vile, ink-like liquid coalesced into grotesque figures, ancient and twisted, howling toward him with malevolent hunger. Yet as they reached his Dao domain, they were stopped cold, unable to breach the sacred boundary. Then, a scream ripped through the air. Someone clutched their eyes, blood and black ichor streaming out, taking shape into the same dreadful specters. At once, a voice of command broke the panic. "Close your eyes!" Wang Zhendong enveloped the people in his Dao domain, holding the fiends at bay, but even his power could only stall them, not destroy them, as the true battle had only begun. Wang Zhendong was taken aback, unsure of what was happening. His eyes felt strange, a burning, itching sensation creeping up as if something was trying to burst free. All around him, the agonized screams of others echoed, the twisted, black, liquid-like figures emerging from their eye sockets, trying to escape. His experience from the Mo River allowed him to quickly assess the situation. "Don't look at them! They're bound by a mirror rule," he shouted. "They can break out through our eyes!" Panic set in as his warning came too late. Several were already crawling out, but before they could multiply, a sword chi sliced through the air, cutting open his Dao domain and severing the creatures. However, instead of vanishing, the entities twisted, gathering together, refusing to disperse. Li Hao appeared in a flash, his body moving with an incredible speed as if defying time itself. This was no Taoist charm, but a power born from his battle with the Buddha Lord, the returning ruins technique. In an instant, he moved, striking without warning and without the typical limitations, his body an unstoppable force. His swift strike cleared the monsters, flinging them back toward the Hell Mo River. Li Hao's gaze sharpened as he threw the wooden cards into the air, distributing them among the gathered crowd. But there was something wrong, a shadow, an extra presence among the Wang family. His eyes burned with the fury of divine flame as his soul merged with the flames, unleashing his true sight. There, cloaked in black mist, was a fake, an illusion conjured by a soul from the netherworld. Without hesitation, Li Hao crushed the illusion with his mind, the false soul disintegrating in a scream. Chaos broke out as people reeled in shock, some barely managing to heal the damage with their powers, while others struggled against an ominous force leaking from their own eyes. The black liquid was unstoppable, even by the strongest of them, but Li Hao acted swiftly. Enveloping them in his Dao domain, he suppressed the forces invading their bodies and contained the cursed liquid within his own realm. One by one, he expelled the horrors mirrored in their vision, casting them back into the Mo River, their grip on reality severed. As the turmoil calmed, Li Hao stood tall, his resolve unshaken, ready for whatever darkness would rise next. As the golden light of salvation flickered weakly, Wang Yongji's face showed deep gratitude, only for terror to strike again, as a tide of pitch-black fog surged beyond the small town's edge, swallowing everything in its path. Behind him, Li Hao's sharp gaze caught the reflection of a monstrous beast that had dragged the cruel laws of the Hell-Level Mi River into this realm, accelerating its corruption. His voice sliced through the panic. "Quick, leave now!" As the group desperately activated the Mie River gold paper, triggering radiant beams from the wooden plaques Li Hao had thrown them. Slowly, painfully, the golden light began forming an exit, but its sluggish pace chilled Wang Zhendong to the core. The exit rules were being affected. Faces turned pale as uncertainty gripped them, fearing the exit might disconnect at any moment, a danger no one had faced before. Then the darkness broke loose like a shattered dam, rushing toward them with monstrous force, while ahead, the golden light trembled, dimming under pressure. Li Hao's expression darkened. He understood the truth. The Hell-Level Mie River was replicating the entire town, and if it succeeded, that fusion would spell doom. Li Hao, with a determined look, gritted his teeth and made a sudden decision. Without hesitation, he charged directly into the swirling black fog. His voice rang out, sharp and unwavering, as he cried, "Haoshin Divine General!" Wang Yongzi was momentarily stunned by the audacity of Li Hao's action, but before he could fully process it, his alarmed shout echoed through the air. Others watched in awe, expressions shifting in disbelief. Wang Zhendong, immediately grasping Li Hao's intention, felt a rush of warmth and admiration surge within him. With wide eyes, he barely managed to speak, "Hao Tian General Yu." But Li Hao's command was clear and unyielding. "You go, I'll hold them off." His voice, carrying an undeniable authority, resonated as he advanced into the dark fog. The Dao domain enveloped him, layers upon layers of it unfolding with brilliant radiance, 11, 12, 13 layers, each one more intense than the last. As the power of the Dao domain spread outward, it expanded into a formidable barrier, halting the oppressive force of the black fog. The very air seemed to vibrate with the collision of energies, the dark mist crashing against the invisible wall that Li Hao had summoned. The members of the Wang family stood frozen, their eyes wide with shock as they took in the astonishing sight. In the face of overwhelming darkness, hearts filled with grief and fury as they watched from a distance, helpless before the Hell-Level Mo River. Its sinister power was too much, and those without their own Dao domains were mere bystanders, unable to help without risking death. Determined to make a difference, a brave figure rushed forward, calling out in defiance, "I'll help you!" But a fierce glare from Li Hao stopped him in his tracks. "Don't come closer, you can't hold it back!" Li Hao's gaze burned with a fierce warning, and even the boldest of hearts hesitated. Beneath the fierce battle of his 15-layer Dao domain, the river's dark energy began to pierce through, threatening to tear it all apart. The force of the Hell-Level Mo River was unimaginable, a chaotic blend of laws attacking his defenses with the precision of 1,000 blades. With every breath, the danger intensified, and Li Hao knew that without a miracle, even he might not survive the next few moments. 50%! Without pause, he ignites his final card. Boom! An explosion of immortal chi bursts beneath his feet, summoning heaven and earth's full force. His eyes blaze like twin suns as he enters the divine power state, radiating a godlike aura, his form glowing like red gold flame. Heaven and earth's veins stretch wide, flooding him with cosmic power that rushes into his 15-layer Dao domain. The domain trembles, hardening like sacred iron, ejecting every trace of the Mie River's invading force. "Move quickly!" He roars, golden hair flying, commanding the stunned Wang clan as his Dao domain expands, shielding the exit and stabilizing its rules. Light surges, and the talisman glows furiously. An exit forms! Staring at the youth now radiant like a celestial, even Wang Zhendong, a fellow Grand Tao cultivator, feels a cold shiver. This is no ordinary warrior, he's a rising god of war. In a tense and critical moment, the team saw the passage open and breathed a collective sigh of relief, but their focus quickly shifted to the lone figure standing against an overwhelming force. Li Hao, the Haoshin Divine General, had bravely held back the relentless power of the Hell-Level Mo River, and his comrades could only watch with mixed emotions. As two juniors hurried toward the exit, the urgency of the situation became undeniable. Wang Zhendong realized the price of Li Hao's resistance. If he left, the group would be consumed, and the longer they stayed, the greater the toll on him. The call to move was clear, and with gritted teeth, they knew that emotional farewells would have to wait. As Wang Yongji stepped into the portal, his voice rang out, a final wish for the general's safe return. Wang Zhendong didn't waste any time. Like everyone else in his family, he knew he couldn't help Li Hao by staying behind. Standing at the portal, he watched intently, fists clenched, feeling an unfamiliar helplessness. After so many encounters with the Mo River, this was the first time he felt powerless, realizing he could one day be a burden to others. Soon, everything blurred as light and shadow shifted around him, his body seemingly moving through the void. When he finally appeared, he stood before the Ksitigarbha Buddha statue at the mountain temple. Huh, that was fast, he muttered, seeing the golden light disappear from the statue's head. Outside, Wang Zhenfeng and Wang Zhenping, who hadn't entered yet, waited. While the younger generation often gathered together, these older figures preferred caution. The golden light had flashed from the statue, transporting someone, and they watched in surprise. Even though Chang'e had cleared the Mo River at the Yudu level, could it really be cleared that quickly? Was there some hidden technique to bypass everything? As the light faded, Wang Zhendong emerged, only to hear a startling question. "Where is Haotin Divine General?" Wang Zhenfeng asked, a sudden feeling of dread creeping up on him. As they stepped outside, Wang Zhendong and his companions became serious, their gazes fixed on the imposing Ksitigarbha Buddha statue. Wang Yongzhi and the others stood beside him, their expressions tinged with anxiety and unease. But as moments stretched on, the statue remained still, with no hidden path revealed and the incense stick burning low. Wang Zhendong's heart skipped a beat as a troubling thought surfaced. Could the youth's earlier words still hold meaning? Was there still a plan to unlock this mystery? A wave of panic surged when they noticed Li Hao hadn't returned. "What's happening? Is something wrong with the Haotian Divine General?" One voice questioned, while the Wang family members outside grew visibly pale, fearing the worst. Their worst fears were confirmed by Wang Zhendong's darkened expression, as the sense of doom deepened. Turning to his grandchildren, Wang Zhenping asked with concern, "Child, tell Grandpa what happened." The young ones, Li Zhongying and Li Rumeng, who had never recognized Li Hao after his rebirth, now realized that the youth they once admired was the one in question. Despite their own discontent over their lesser talents, they took comfort in the thought that many exceptional individuals faltered midway, a sentiment that gave them solace in these trying times. The true genius laughs last. "He hasn't come out yet. He must be dead," said Li Rumeng, slightly curling her lip. Wang Zhenping was taken aback. Dead? The crisp voice of the girl also startled those like Wang Zhendong, who were still hoping and waiting, causing a shock to their hearts. Clearly, if Li Hao hadn't returned, he was either entangled by the Hell Level Mo River and couldn't reach the portal, or he was attempting to clear it. Either way, it was a near certain death situation. Wang Zhendong clenched his fists. That saintly youth with a bright future that was almost awe-inspiring had covered their retreat, giving them a way out and landing himself in extreme peril. The relation wasn't that close in the past. Wang Yongzhi and others exchanged glances, seeing the complex and pained look in each other's eyes. It was as if anger was building up inside them, unable to be vented. Previously jubilant to join in the excitement, they ended up being a stumbling block, burdening the young divine general. If the Emperor knew, he would probably be furious enough to vomit blood. Unimaginable how enraged he would be. Their guilt and remorse were so intense, they almost wanted to punch themselves. At their age, how could they forget themselves? How did he die? Wang Zhenping, returning to his senses, couldn't help but ask his grandchildren. Li Zhongying could hardly hide his envy as he murmured about the youth. He insists on showing off, even though we could have left together. Always the hero, huh? Inside the Divine General Mansion, the moment the youth revealed his cultivation level, all eyes were on him, overshadowing everyone else, including Li Qianfeng, who faded into obscurity after defeat. Though the youth spoke softly, the silence in the mountain temple made his words impossible to ignore. With the Wang family members present, his voice reverberated in their ears. Wang Zhendong, his eyes fierce like a hawk, suddenly turned to glare at Li Jiangying. "What did you say? Say that again?" Li Jiangying was taken aback, but before he could respond, Wang Zhendong stepped forward and with a brutal slap, struck him across the face. The blow was so strong that two of Li Jianying's teeth shattered, sending him crashing to the ground. "Brother!" Li Rumeng cried out in distress, rushing to help him up. Wang Zhenping was equally stunned and stepped in to block the way, demanding, "Second brother, what are you doing? Fourth brother, can't you hear what that child is saying?" Wang Zhendong roared in fury, his voice echoing through the mountain as he glared at his younger brother like an enraged lion. Wang Zhenping hesitated, his words a bit too cautious. Although his comments were harsh, he's still just a child, expressing his thoughts. "Fourth brother." Wang Zhendong's fury exploded, his voice sharp. "Have you grown old or just foolish?" Wang Zhenping was taken aback, not expecting such an angry outburst from his second brother. Speaking his mind? That's a divine general, a being of equal stature to our ancestor. Who does he think he is to mock them? Were it not for the Haoshan divine general, we'd all be lost. Both of them would be dead. They've barely escaped danger, and now they treat their savior this way? Wang Zhendong's face flushed with rage, his eyes burning with intensity. Wang Zhenping's expression darkened. He found himself unable to argue, and a hint of fear crept into his heart as he faced his second brother's wrath. Such lack of discipline. Such disrespect. Wang Zhendong's gaze turned to Li Rumeng, still crying on the floor, his face cold with disdain. "You asked me to take care of them, to let them join me in broadening their horizons at the Mo River. I agreed, and now look at them. They've had the resources of two great divine general mansions spent on them, and this is how they act? Since your daughter is now part of the Li family, their children have no place in the Wang family anymore." His words hit like a command, instantly changing the mood. Wang Zhenping, stunned by the cold decisiveness of his second brother, stood speechless. On the ground, Li Rumeng, tears streaming down her face, froze in fear. Her sobs silenced, she turned to her grandfather, her eyes full of desperation. Li Jianing, holding his face, slowly stood up, terror creeping into his heart as he saw the cold stares of the Wang elders. Fear gripped him. "Take them away!" came the stern order. With a slight nod from Wang Zhendong, Wang Yongji signaled for the guards. Without hesitation, they grabbed the siblings, dragging them out of the hall. The faint cries of grandfather grew distant. Wang Zhenping, troubled, remained silent. Wang Zhendong, his gaze icy, spared no more thought for his brother. Knowing him well, he turned away and commanded Wang Yongji, send 2 squads to investigate inside. With a nod, Wang Yongji quickly issued the orders, preparing for whatever would come next. Wang Zhenfeng, his curiosity piqued, asked, "What exactly happened in there?" Wang Zhendong, casting a quick glance at Old Wu, softened his expression just a bit before replying gravely, "An incident occurred in Mo River. A hell-level Mo River was drawn here, merging with the netherworld-level Mo River. It even secretly merged its token. If not for the Haodian Divine General, we wouldn't have made it back." His words hung in the air, succinct yet heavy with implications. At the mention of the hell-level Mo River, shock rippled through the group, the color draining from their faces. For the Wang family, this was a topic that sent a chill down their spines, more alarming than even the Emperor's name. Wang Zhenping too was taken aback, his complexion shifting as he grasped the true cause of his brother's fury. The 2 children had been rescued, only to mock their savior, a display of ingratitude that made everything fall into place. He fell silent, his thoughts racing. Wang Zhendong paid no attention to his brother, waiting for the death soldiers to arrive, ready to let Wang Yongzi handle the arrangement. But as the soldiers arrived, a military dispatch from a scout was also delivered, causing Wang Yongzi to furrow his brow. The dispatch seemed urgent. What could be so pressing? The city was under siege. The demons, the very forces that once stayed beyond the borders, had breached the imperial capital, setting their sights on the heart of the empire. As the report reached him, the gravity of the situation hit Wang Yongji like a tidal wave. The demons, led by the most fearsome of their kind, had appeared at the gates of the imperial city, an unimaginable assault on a place that had never known such danger. The Wang family, with its long history of military control over the Mo River, had never seen anything like this. In the past, even rumors of demonic activity would have been quelled by the mighty presence of the figures stationed at Gantao Palace. But now, with the Imperial City itself under threat, the unthinkable was happening. With the Emperor's most trusted generals caught off guard, the world around them was crumbling, and the once impenetrable capital was on the brink of ruin. As the situation escalated, Li Hao, the hero who had already triumphed over numerous foes, found himself caught in the web of a much larger conspiracy. His journey, already filled with perilous trials, would soon see him racing against time, not just for survival, but for the fate of an entire dynasty. Wang Yongzhi's gaze was drawn toward Wang Zhendong, who stood with a face heavy with resolve. For centuries, the imperial capital had been untouched by demonic forces, with the last invasion more than 600 years ago, where a demon king's blood had flowed like a river, sending tremors through the demon world. But now, a new wave of demons threatened again, and even the imperial capital itself was calling for aid. In the wake of past battles across regions, Wang Zhenfeng's eyes darkened. His understanding of the demonic threat had always been keen, and he could sense that something much larger was unfolding behind the scenes. The demons weren't just attacking peripheral states anymore, they were aiming directly at the heart of the Dayu dynasty. A storm was brewing, one that might very well shatter the imperial capital itself. The question lingered: where was the true person? Could they still hold the line, or had the inevitable begun? Wang Zhendong's expression darkened as he glanced at Wang Yongzhi. The once unshakable imperial city now faced an unprecedented threat. For centuries, demons had dared not challenge its walls, with the last such attack ending in a catastrophic defeat for the invaders, their blood spilling like a river to deter further attempts. But now, demons were swarming once again, and even the imperial capital cried out for help. Wang Zhenfeng, although less skilled than Wang Zhendong in managing the Mo River's dangers, had long suspected that a greater scheme was unfolding behind the scenes. The demons weren't simply attacking the borders. They were coming for the heart of the Dayu divine dynasty itself, with all the fury of a final, decisive battle. Wang Zhenfeng's face grew colder as he realized the depth of the impending catastrophe. The demons were no longer mere intruders, they were targeting the very soul of the empire. Li Hao, struggling to hold back the encroaching force of the hell-level Mo River, breathed a sigh of relief as he focused his divine thought across the entire town, seeking out hidden presences. Soon enough, he detected a few shadowy souls lingering in the corners of the town, their numbers low. Clearly, a skilled grandmaster from the Wang family had already performed a quick sweep. However, as Li Hao continued his search, a familiar figure appeared before him. Standing at the threshold of the ancestral hall was Feng, dressed in his signature black robes. Lost in thought, Feng gazed out of the town, his expression one of quiet contemplation. Without hesitation, Li Hao's divine soul surged forward, teleporting toward the ancestral hall in an instant. Yet, his true body remained behind, maintaining the Dao domain to counter the erosion of the hell-level Mo River, knowing the consequences if he left it unguarded. His arrival at the ancestral hall was swift, the divine light fading to reveal his eager face as he called out, "Feng!" Feng Boping suddenly freezes, a rush of fragmented memories hitting him as he stares at Li Hao, his eyes widening in disbelief. How? He whispers. Li Hao, equally surprised and pleased, nods. "It's me!" Feng's shock intensifies as he remembers something and urgently asks, "How did you end up here?" Li Hao, determined to save him, replies, "I'm here to get you out of this hell." Feng's face changes as he glances towards the outside of the town, where a dark, ominous sky looms over them. His expression grows distant, but he snaps back into focus and says, "Let's go. You can't stay. It's coming." Confused, Li Hao looks behind him, spotting the hell-level Mo River drawing near. "Is it that Mo River? Feng, do you know how to clear the level? Let me take you out." Feng shakes his head. "It's too late. I can't escape. It's after me now." His voice falters as he looks toward the approaching Mo River. "Part of my obsession is trapped there. You won't be able to clear it." Li Hao's heart pounds in his chest. How could the Mo River be targeting Feng? What was happening? Feng Boping, lost in confusion, suddenly recalls something crucial, his eyes widening as he looks at Li Hao, realizing who he is. Li Hao, both surprised and pleased, confirms it's him, and Feng quickly asks how he ended up here. With a determined smile, Li Hao reveals he's come to rescue him. But the situation takes a dark turn when Feng's expression shifts as he senses the approaching danger outside. Li Hao, confused, looks toward the hellish Mo River and asks if this is the threat Feng is referring to. Feng, growing desperate, warns that it's already too late, his soul reflected and trapped by the Mo River's grip. Even though Li Hao wants to help, Feng is resigned to his fate, knowing that no one can clear this level, leaving them both facing the impending doom. Despite Feng's formidable strength as a 4-stance realm being, he wasn't expected to draw the attention of a hell-level Mo River. After all, the master who perished in Dragon City was only a Yudu-level Mo River. The true obsession behind that Mo River was linked to war god Jiyunge of the Tao Comprehension realm. Feng, are you sure you're not mistaken? Is your obsession really that deep? Li Hao couldn't help but ask. Under normal circumstances, Feng would have rolled his eyes in response, but today, his gaze drifted towards the encroaching hell-level Mo River, lost in thought. I'm not sure, but I know I'm searching for something very, very important. Li Hao paused, mentally tracing their past interactions. Feng had shared many things with him, even secrets that could cost him his life, but this search for something vital had never come up. After all, the things Feng wanted, he had already taken. Quick, leave! Without that thing, I won't be able to clear the level. Feng snapped back, urging Li Hao to leave while there was still time. This place hasn't fully merged yet, but if you stay, you won't be able to transcend once you fall in. That place is far worse than you think. Determined, Li Hao replied. I want to try, Li Hao interrupted, urging Feng Boping to reconsider. The soul of Ji Yunge had been trapped in the Mo River for far too long, and if they failed now, a crucial part of Feng's soul would be lost forever. Feng, growing anxious, warned that further delays would lead to death. Li Hao, however, pressed him, asking what Feng was truly searching for, promising to help him find it. Feng's eyes softened, caught by the intensity of Li Hao's gaze. He then noticed something, a dark aura splitting like a rising tide, revealing a narrow path. Beyond it lay another town, an eerie mirror image of the first. A mysterious figure appeared on the outskirts, dressed in a robe of shadows. As the figure gazed at Feng, his expression hardened, realizing that the figure was none other than himself, but colder and filled with murderous intent. Li Hao understood then this was no ordinary reflection, but the embodiment of Feng's obsessions. The trial had shifted, and the path to overcoming it had become even more perilous. The fate of Mo River in Qingtown was sealed. It could only merge! As the mysterious figure spoke, challenging Li Hao to a fishing contest, the weight of the situation was clear. His obsession with an unknown goal echoed in the air, and Li Hao, caught between familiarity and uncertainty, could only ask, "What are we fishing for?" The answer came cryptically, "You'll know when you arrive." Despite warnings from his mentor, Feng Boping, Li Hao knew he had to act. With a calm yet determined voice, he assured, "Wait for me," stepping forward towards the dangerous unknown. Feng Boping's desperate plea rang out, "You will die!" But Li Hao's resolve was unwavering. "Even if it is death, I will bring you out." With those words, he charged towards the peril, ready to protect the one who had once protected him. The ultimate fate of Mo River in Qingtown is sealed. It must merge. Do you want to know what his obsession is? Come fish with me and see who catches it first. These words echoed through the air as Feng Boping's obsession revealed itself, setting a challenge that Li Hao couldn't ignore. Li Hao, puzzled yet determined, asked, "What are we fishing for?" The answer was cryptic, "You'll know when you arrive." With that, Li Hao's gaze locked with Feng Boping's obsession, a silent exchange of resolve. Feng Boping, now fully aware of the danger, urged him to stop. "Don't listen to him, don't go there." But Li Hao, unwavering, whispered, "Wait for me." And with those words, he stepped forward, unflinching, despite the grim warnings. Feng Boping's voice trembled. "You'll die!" But Li Hao, resolute in his mission, replied, "Even if it means death, I'll bring you out." You protected me for a moment, now I'll protect you for a lifetime. With his heart set on saving his mentor, Li Hao moved forward, prepared to face whatever darkness lay ahead. Li Hao's mind raced with worry, but there was no turning back now. Feng Boping, fixated on his obsession, coldly reminded him, "You could have saved yourself earlier. The chance was there." "That was then," Li Hao replied, his voice unwavering. "Now, there's no time to waste." Without hesitation, Li Hao stepped forward, ready to unleash his divine soul and manifest the power of heaven and earth. But the surrounding darkness didn't move to strike, as Feng Boping watched in stunned silence. Finally, after a long pause, he spoke. "To fish for life, use your true heart as bait. You've already hooked your own, and in doing so, you've won." Li Hao was taken aback, unable to fully grasp the meaning of his words. Feng Boping's intense gaze never wavered from Li Hao as he slowly spoke. This is his obsession. He's searching for a true heart, the most precious thing in the world, and the one thing he cannot steal. Li Hao, taken aback and filled with suspicion, asked, "So, does that mean I've passed the trial?" From his previous encounters with the Mo River trials, Li Hao had gained some insight. Each trial demanded different challenges. In his first trial at Fengshan Manghe River, it was a painting that moved a simple artist to tears, passing the trial by resolving the artist's longing. At Dragon City Mo River, it was about finding a sense of belonging in the vast world, freeing Ji Yun Ge from the Mo River's influence. But now, Feng was guarding a Mo River linked to a true heart. These trials seemed more about understanding deep emotions rather than raw strength. It was clear why the Wang family, despite studying the Mo Rivers for years, only managed to clear a few. Most people would have been lost in Feng's Mo River. If it hadn't been for Feng's guidance, Li Hao too would have failed. Just then, dark forces surged around Feng Boping, wrapping him in a mist-like aura. His expression shifted, and silver light erupted from his eyes, filling the air with a majestic power. Li Hao soon realized he had been overthinking. As he withdrew, the image of the small town outside rapidly crumbled, transforming into a bleak, ancient path stretching endlessly ahead. A chill ran through him as he gazed upon it, far more terrifying than the town he had seen before. The path was littered with bones, a desolate reminder of countless years. From the black mist, a cold, persistent voice echoed, different from what Li Hao was used to hearing. The surging fog slowed, as though held back by some unseen force. "Child, farewell," the voice spoke, its presence quickly dissipating. As the mist cleared, a prompt appeared before Li Hao. Permanently reduce Silent Way Mo River by 10%. Eliminate Reflection Rule. Reward 10,000 merit. Li Hao was taken aback. 10,000 merit? This was the same reward for destroying a hell-level Mo River, yet he hadn't destroyed it, only weakened it. Nonetheless, the permanent reduction was a mystery. Li Hao, deep in thought, soon realized he was overthinking. As he pulled back, the world outside the small town began to collapse, transforming into an ancient, mist-covered path that seemed endless. A chill ran down his spine as he observed the desolate scene before him. Bones lay scattered along the path, their presence a grim reminder of countless years of suffering. From the mist, a voice echoed, cold and unfamiliar Feng Boping's voice, persistent and unsettling. The chaotic mist slowed as if bound by some unseen force. "Child, farewell," the voice murmured, quickly dissipating, leaving only the remnants of fog. Then a prompt appeared before Li Hao. Permanently reduce Silent Way Mo River by 10%. Eliminate Reflection Rule. Reward 10,000 merit. Li Hao was taken aback. 10,000 merit? He hadn't even destroyed the Mo River, yet this permanent reduction granted him such a reward. Li Hao stood at the edge of the ancient, silent path, suddenly realizing that the Mo River's strength had weakened now that the Reflection Rule was gone permanently. He had just used the Reflection Rule's obsession to clear it, but it seemed that the hell-level Silent Way Mo River had expelled the rule to prevent his actions from destabilizing it further, only weakening it instead. Was this Mo River conscious? He thought deeply, and as he observed, he noticed the other forces surrounding Qingtown Mo River fading rapidly. These forces, once dominated by the Reflection Rule, vanished, now that it was nullified. Turning, Li Hao saw Feng Boping floating toward him, looking at him with a mix of affection and mild reproach. "You silly child. You really are impulsive," he said, his eyes soft with concern. Li Hao smiled, and, at that moment, a prompt appeared. Qingtown Mo River had been cleared! The reward was not the expected 10,000 merit, but an impressive 20,000. In total, Li Hao had earned a staggering 30,000 merit from this single journey. For context, it was said that Wang Jindong, a veteran at clearing Mo rivers, had only recently accumulated 10,000 merit in all his years of work. Li Hao stood, grinning at Feng, his eyes reflecting a mix of relief and determination. "Feng, we can finally go home now," he said, his voice carrying the weight of countless battles. Feng met his gaze, a deep, thoughtful expression clouding his face. "Yes, we can go home now," he replied, the complexity of their journey still hanging in the air. Meanwhile, in the once mighty capital of Dayu, chaos reigned. The streets, once the pride of the empire, were now soaked in blood and scattered with the fallen. The mighty Xuantian Divine Emperor formation, which had protected the city for centuries, lay shattered, its patterns disrupted from within by the traitorous actions of the Chen family. The city that had stood as the heart of the empire, with its high walls and clear moats, now bled as demons ravaged the land, their savagery unchecked. The battle in the sky raged on, as demon commanders pursued fleeing civilians and soldiers alike, tearing them apart in brutal pursuit. The great city of Dayu, once invincible, was now reduced to rubble. As the fate of the empire hung by a thread, Li Hao, battle-worn and resolute, raced to confront the terrifying storm that had already begun to consume it. In the great Dayu Imperial City, a shocking betrayal by one of the 5 great divine general mansions has set the stage for an unprecedented assault. With their city's defenses crumbling and the array's protection shattered, a relentless demon army overwhelms the city's million-strong garrison. Despite the Emperor's urgent call for reinforcements, the city's fall is swift. Elders from the Imperial City rise to defend, only to be swiftly defeated by a young man in black robes and a woman in purple, both wielding terrifying powers from the Tao Comprehension realm. The demons wreak havoc, sweeping through the city with brutal efficiency, and even the mighty Imperial army crumbles under their devastating might. With the Imperial Palace shattered and the Emperor's divine formations destroyed, the fate of the dynasty now hangs by a thread. The city is left in ruins, and the human race faces imminent annihilation unless a hero can rise to confront this overwhelming darkness. The battle began with the Divine Emperor's apparitions, conjured by a powerful array, only to be torn apart in moments. The array shattered with a thunderous explosion, followed by the sudden demise of 2 hiding elders. The young man in black swiftly hovered over, briefly glancing at them before casually absorbing their bodies into his heaven and earth space, planning to deal with them later. His eyes shifted towards the Imperial Palace above, where fierce fighting raged. The atmosphere crackled with the forces of Dao Law, where one word could bring forth life or destruction, a domain far beyond the reach of those in the Enlightened Truth realm. What was most startling, though, were not the familiar, aged figures, but rather 6 young warriors, acting with ease and camaraderie, their casual banter belying the terrifying force they unleashed. One of them sent an old man crashing to the ground, his body a mess of blood, his robes shredded. As the old man struggled to rise, a single word, suppress, from one of the youths, sent him crashing back down, the very earth beneath him cracking like a spider's web. A testament to the immense power at play. Surrounded by 6 powerful adversaries, his body teetered on the brink of collapse. A single word from one of the youths in the distance, true person, echoed in the air, signaling a shift. Onlookers stood frozen, paralyzed by the overwhelming power before them. Previously, those who dared fight back had been obliterated in an instant, no chance to resist, no hope to escape. Even the most skilled and hidden experts from the Grand Tao of Peace realm had fallen, their bodies exploding at the mere utterance of a few words. The gap between the Four Stands realm and the Tao Comprehension realm was vast, and the truth was undeniable. No one could stand against them. As the battle raged on, the true person, once a glimmer of hope, found himself struggling. Despite his fierce attempts, he couldn't overcome the odds. Despair, fear, and sorrow painted every face. The once mighty divine dynasty, a force that had reigned for millennia, was crumbling beneath the weight of invaders who treated this devastation as mere amusement. Yet, in the face of such undeniable power, even the strongest were rendered helpless. It was as if they were ants, working diligently only to be crushed by a giant foot without warning, reducing all their efforts to nothing. Everyone felt like they were mere ants. Is my dynasty doomed? They wondered, standing in the plaza, surrounded by those who had come to reinforce, only to be captured. Among them were a few key figures, but others, including some distant allies, had not yet arrived. They expected a final battle, relying on a powerful formation, but instead, they arrived to see the city in ruins. 6 terrifying young warriors easily slaughtered the city's army, and Imperial Guard tore apart the formation and took the Imperial Palace in less than half a day. The years of power and foundation seemed meaningless before these horrifying figures. Even the demon chief, Venerable, holding a cane, felt a sense of dread. Since the Saint Heir had gone to confront a young man and returned without saying a word, only telling them to wait, they now faced these 6 terrifying monsters. The Venerable understood that the Saint Heir must have paid a great price, but it was clear an immense force had arrived, and nothing would ever be the same. Though the battle was over, the Saint Heir's face bore no sign of triumph. Standing tall in the void, 6 figures, 4 men and 2 women radiated an aura of unmatched strength. They looked down upon the battlefield with casual arrogance, their eyes gleaming with the confidence of invincibility. Their gazes swept over an old Taoist, whose frail form had been tempered through years of hardship. Once a young boy, the Taoist had now become a white-haired elder, his face etched with the passage of time. Blood or sweat stained his cheeks as he stood, sword in hand, supporting his weakened body. His tattered robe clung to his frail form, and yet, despite his exhaustion, his eyes burned with unyielding defiance. Against these powerful figures, the old Taoist could do little but resist with the remaining strength he had. The 6 elites, seemingly unimpressed, saw him as little more than a relic, one whose time had passed. They spoke dismissively of his power, their words like blades cutting through the very essence of his being. But still, he stood firm, knowing that even in his fragility, he had a purpose to fulfill. They weren't merely elites. They were masters of the Tao Law realm, only one step away from achieving the status of saints. Although this step was incredibly distant and treacherous, keeping countless prodigies from crossing that line, simply reaching it was a monumental feat, rare in a billion. Was defeat inevitable? Master Qin's gaze was sharp, but his heart sank deeper with every passing moment. Not long ago, he had promised Emperor Yu that he would protect Dayu for another decade, shielding the young man from the storms of life and allowing him to mature fully to take the throne. But now, the appearance of 6 monstrous figures behind the 3 desolate gods had shattered any hope of a peaceful future. It felt like an unforeseen disaster, like a meteorite crashing down, destroying everything in its path. The Dayu Divine Dynasty, with its profound power and vast lands, could withstand any storm, even if meteorites fell in droves. But these 6 Tao Law realm figures were a calamity so immense that even the strongest foundation would buckle under their weight. Not bad, huh? You've blocked us for 20 moves without dying. Better hold on now. Oh, the numbers on your side seem to be far more than 20, said a stunningly beautiful woman, her eyes like shimmering stars and her smile as delicate as peach blossoms. Yet, her words were icy, sending a chill through the air. Master Qin took a deep breath, his eyes suddenly sharp and colder than ever, as the chi force inside his body began to condense, slowly tearing his meridians apart. He was ready to sacrifice everything in a final desperate stand. Just then, a figure rushed forward, blocking his path. Clad in a dark black imperial robe with noble dragon patterns, the figure exuded an overwhelming majesty. It was Emperor Yu. Holding the dragon pattern jade seal high above, Emperor Yu's gaze cut through the chaos like piercing flames, challenging the 6 men who attacked from the sky. This is where my family has gathered the incense fire. If you seek it, I'll give it to you. But in return, can you spare our lives? He asked, his voice powerful yet calm, filled with authority. The tragic assault on the Imperial City had forced his hand, and now he faced his final act to protect his people. Thinking about the potential and growth of the young man, the sadness and fury within his heart seemed to lessen. In just 10 years, maybe even less, he could reclaim everything. With that thought, the current suffering didn't feel as unbearable. A sigh of relief escaped his heart, but before he could relax, a cold voice from above interrupted him. This incense fire can be taken with you even in death. Everything here now belongs to us. Are you trying to stir division, to create conflict in hopes of finding an opening? The voice belonged to a young man dressed in yellow and white, radiating nobility and ease, but his gaze was chilling, as calm as a still lake. It pierced through the mortal world emperor's thoughts. The words stunned everyone, causing subtle shifts in their expressions. Emperor Yu's heart sank into despair, his gaze twitching. Before he could defend himself, the young man sneered. "You dare manipulate imperial schemes before me? Kneel!" The moment the words left his lips, the laws of the Tao closed in on Emperor Yu. His face changed dramatically as the Tao power erupted from him, revealing the aura of the Tao comprehension realm. The overwhelming energy surged to push back the laws, but it was as if an invisible hand seized the Tao power and shoved it back into his body. As the young man pondered the immense potential and growth that lay ahead, a sense of relief slowly washed over him, lightening the sadness and anger in his heart. In just 10 years, or perhaps less, that young man could reclaim everything for them. With that thought, the pain of the present no longer seemed so unbearable. However, before he could fully relax, a cold, indifferent voice echoed from above. "This incense fire can be taken with you dead as well. Everything here already belongs to us. Are you trying to stir division? To create conflict in hopes of finding an opening?" The speaker, a young man in a yellow and white robe, exuded a noble air, his eyes as cold and calm as a still lake. His gaze seemed to pierce through the Emperor's very thoughts. The words left the room in stunned silence, the tension palpable as everyone's expression subtly shifted. The corner of Emperor Yu's eye twitched, his heart sinking into the abyss. Before he could defend himself, the young man coldly sneered. "Dare to manipulate imperial schemes before me? Kneel!" The laws of the Tao swiftly enveloped Emperor Yu, drawing in around him. His face contorted as Tao energy surged from his body, revealing the aura of the Tao comprehension realm. But despite his overwhelming power, it was as if an invisible giant hand gripped his Tao force and dragged it back into him. His eyes burned with fury, his dragon robe swirling violently, tearing as his legs were pinned down by an overwhelming force. Yet, with his hair flying in the wind, he summoned every ounce of his strength to resist. His muscles screamed, blood pouring from his body as he fought against the power that sought to crush him. "Your Majesty!" Someone shouted in alarm, but the young warrior was resolute. "I will fight you!" With those words, he launched himself into the fray, rage surging through his veins. The crowd watched in disbelief as he ascended, unleashing his most powerful techniques. A deafening explosion ripped through the air, and just as his body soared, it was obliterated in mid-flight. His divine soul flickered for a moment before vanishing, snuffed out like a dying spark. Furious, Master Qin swung his sword, aiming to sever the laws, but the young man responded with a cold sneer. Golden light flashed in his eyes as the laws shifted and flowed around him, his power crashing down like a tidal wave. Master Qin was struck by the force, blood pouring from his mouth as his body staggered, the impact worsening his injuries. At the same time, Emperor Yu faced an even greater threat. The earth beneath him trembled, cracking open as an oppressive force bore down on him, threatening to break him. The very air seemed to weigh him down, forcing him to his knees. It was clear, his opponent sought to humiliate him, to break the will of those watching and turn them into submissive slaves. But Emperor Yu stood firm, understanding the purpose behind the assault: fear. The attack was meant to make them all tremble. He refused to bow, even in the face of death. His eyes burned with a fierce determination as his body crackled with a golden red aura, the essence of the divine power extreme realm. Drawing from the heaven and earth vein, the vast energy surged within him, pushing against the overwhelming force of law that tried to crush him. Yet, in a moment of raw defiance, he severed his own legs, the ground trembling beneath him as blood splattered. Despite the brutal blow, he remained upright, his posture unwavering, his will unbroken. The crowd, stunned and enraged, watched in disbelief as the young man, seemingly unfazed, issued his next command. "If you won't kneel, then lie down." His voice, cold and commanding, carried the weight of absolute power. In the face of looming doom, Li Mushu stood, a quiet relief washing over him as he silently thanked the heavens that Li Hao had not yet arrived. Master Qin's defeat was a blow, but it paled in comparison to the fate awaiting anyone who tried to face their monstrous adversaries. These 6 young warriors, with their immense power, were nothing more than moths drawn to the flames, struggling to make any dent in the overwhelming force that towered over them. The realms they hailed from, whether the Ultimate Study Realm or the Grand Tao of Peace Realm, seemed utterly powerless against a force where the very words of the enemy shaped reality itself. Their rage was futile, their blows ineffective. Yet amidst this despair, Li Mushu found solace. He knew that survival was their only hope. While his companions were consumed by grief and anger, Li Mushu maintained his composure, quietly warning others not to act recklessly. His message was clear: endurance, survival, and patience were key. As long as Li Hao remained distant, there remained a glimmer of hope. Time, he believed, would bring their vengeance, and they would emerge from this darkness to reclaim what was lost. The tension was palpable, the feeling of inevitable doom hanging over the crowd like a dark cloud. Even the great Master Qin had been brought to his knees, leaving everyone to wonder if the arrival of that general would have made any difference. He would have only come to be humiliated, waiting for the end. Thankfully, Hao Air hadn't appeared yet. Li Mushu, standing among the crowd, quietly exhaled, relieved by this fact. His powerful fist, which had once teetered on the brink of invincibility, now clenched weakly. In front of these 6 formidable young warriors, they were nothing more than helpless moths, burning in the face of overwhelming power. Whether in the Ultimate Study Realm or the Grand Tao of Peace Realm, it made no difference when up against such terrifying strength where the words of their opponent became unchallengeable laws. Even in their maddest rage, they could not harm their foe. But amidst the chaos and imminent doom, Li Mushu found solace in one thought. Hao Air's absence meant there was still hope for the future. He knew that, even if all these veterans perished, as long as Hao Air remained free, there would be a chance to rebuild. While others lashed out in sorrow and fury, Li Mushu held his calm, discreetly warning his allies to act with caution, urging them to endure. Survival was paramount. Through secret transmission, he communicated his thoughts. Tiangang, don't act recklessly. Even if the dynasty falls, as long as Hao Er isn't here, we will have a chance for vengeance in time. The crisis in the Imperial City escalated when the 8 Directions banner was raised, signaling a dire emergency. Li Tiangang and Li Fenghua rushed from Qingzhou to answer the call, fully aware of the weight of the situation. The banner was not to be ignored. It heralded a major catastrophe. As the battle unfolded, enemies from all sides emerged, including a woman with a sinister smile who unleashed a devastating attack on Master Qin, leaving him gravely wounded. Amid the chaos, the fate of the Imperial City seemed sealed, but in a distant mansion, others focused on a more personal struggle, waiting anxiously for the return of a key figure from the Mo River, unaware of the greater danger threatening their world. The atmosphere in the Imperial City was thick with tension as the elder family heads took charge, organizing troops, strategizing, and sending reinforcements. All they could do was wait. At the foot of the Ksitigarbha Buddha statue, someone was obsessively reviewing their gold paper from the Mie River Register, eyes constantly flicking to the merit list. Each time the name Chong-Er remained on the list, a sigh of relief followed. Inside the mountain hall, whispers spread like wildfire. Li Hao was actually Chong-Er. For the younger members of the Wang family, this revelation was explosive. They had admired Li Hao's status as a general, but the true wonder was in the immense legacy of Chong-Er, a figure whose accomplishments outshone even the mightiest of their ancestors. This was a feat the Wang family had never achieved, a glory beyond comparison. Even the revered Wang Zhendong seemed to pale in comparison. A young maid exclaimed in disbelief to her lady, "Miss, the Haojin general is actually Chong-Er. His Majesty says this deserves the title of Divine General." Before, they'd speculated about Chong-Er's true identity, wondering which hidden master of the Jianghu he could be. But never did they expect the meteoric young general to be the one they admired. The lady, her eyes gleaming with excitement, remembered the moments she had seen the young man, her cheeks flushing with excitement. A senior member of the Wang family waited eagerly by the Mo River for Li Hao's return. As soon as they saw him, their excitement was palpable. "It's great that you're alive, really great!" they exclaimed. Li Hao, feeling a bit speechless, couldn't help but note the strange fervor in their words. "I'm not some resurrected corpse," he muttered, confused. "What about them?" He glanced around but noticed that the familiar faces of Wang Yongzi and Wang Zhendong were missing. The family head is in the assembly hall. The member explained quickly before their divine soul shot out, vanishing in a flash. The younger members of the Wang family, standing nearby, watched him closely, their awe and excitement palpable but tempered by a noticeable tension as they held their breath, hesitant to approach. Li Hao's presence alone carried such weight that even the closest in age to him felt the stark difference in their statuses. Soon, Wang Yongji appeared, dashing toward Li Hao, overjoyed to see him unharmed. Haoshin Divine General, it's a relief you're safe. My Wang family owes you a great debt, and if anything had happened to you, we would have had no way to repay it. A senior member from the Wang family, who had been waiting by the Mo River, was overwhelmed with joy the moment Li Hao appeared. It's great that you're alive! Really great! He exclaimed. Li Hao, a bit taken aback by their enthusiasm, couldn't help but wonder at the oddness of their words. I'm not a resurrected corpse, he thought to himself. Scanning the area, Li Hao noticed that Wang Yongji and Wang Zhendong were absent, which struck him as unusual. The person hurriedly responded, "The family head is in the assembly hall. I'll let him know right away." With a swift movement, his divine soul surged out, disappearing in an instant. Meanwhile, the younger generation of the Wang family watched Li Hao from a distance, their excitement barely contained as they felt an undeniable pressure simply from his presence. His stature and achievements made him seem worlds apart from them, even though they were the same age. Soon, Wang Yongji rushed over, visibly relieved to see Li Hao safe. Haoshin Divine General, it's a great relief that you're unharmed. The Wang family owes you a great debt. If something had happened to you, we wouldn't know how to repay you, he said, his gratitude evident. The tension was palpable as the news arrived. The Imperial City had been attacked. The message was clear and abrupt. After requesting help, they now told him to leave Dayu at once. The drastic change left Li Hao stunned, his thoughts racing as he considered the implications. The contrast between the two commands screamed betrayal, and it was clear this was a move of desperation. The Wang family head's expression mirrored Li Hao's realization. The situation was dire. When did this happen? Li Hao demanded urgency in his voice. A quarter hour ago, came the reply. The demons had launched a surprise assault on the capital, far more coordinated and destructive than anyone had anticipated. It was likely that the earlier attacks were just distractions, meant to lure help away. Now, they had struck with everything they had, aiming directly at Dayu's heart. With no more words to be said, Li Hao vanished, ready to face the unfolding catastrophe. Not long after, the 8 Directions Order arrived, the one I just mentioned. His Majesty anticipated your visit to our Wang family, so he instructed me to tell you to leave Dayu immediately. Li Hao was stunned, his pupils narrowing slightly. The Imperial City was under attack? First, they asked for help, then ordered him to leave without explanation? Such a drastic shift couldn't be anything but a signal of disaster. Li Hao met the gaze of the Wang family head and instantly saw the same realization reflected in his eyes. It was no surprise that the Wang family had been so cautious, excluding even their own members. If this news spread, chaos would surely engulf the world. When did this happen? Li Hao asked, urgency in his voice. A quarter hour ago, Wang Yongzi replied. The demon's sudden assault on the city was a complete surprise. Their earlier attacks on Liangzhou and Xingzhou were likely just distractions, drawing the true person out to assist. But now, they've gone straight for the Imperial City, likely with a powerful trump card in hand, amassing the full might of the demon forces. Li Hao exhaled sharply, said nothing more, and vanished from the mountain hall in the blink of an eye. Li Hao, a warrior whose name is known far and wide, had just barely arrived at the Wang family's main hall when the shocking news hit. His swift and determined journey had already taken him to confront the demons threatening Dayu's heart, and now, with the ever-looming threat of the Imperial City falling to betrayal, his fate was sealed. His mentor's fractured soul was trapped in the terrifying hell-level Mo River, and there was no turning back. Despite the overwhelming odds, Li Hao's defiance led him to battle powerful demons, slicing through Daolao realm invaders with startling ease. As the Imperial City crumbled and the truth of betrayal came to light, the forces of darkness stood against him. Yet, this battle was more than just a fight for survival. It was a fight for the very soul of Dayu, a chance for the dynasty's future, and a test of loyalty and strength that would shape the outcome of the war. Even as Emperor Yu and True Person Qin fought desperately against impossible odds, Li Hao rushed forward, the hope of an entire nation riding on his unwavering will and unstoppable power. Would his journey end in victory? Or would the dynasty be lost forever? At this point, it was clear that keeping him stationed in Yunzhou served no purpose. The situation was dire, and unless there was a betrayal from within, the Wang family would not survive this turmoil. Whoosh! With a flash of light, Li Hao zipped through the void, moving like a lightning bolt. He had stashed the Candle Flame God and Jian away in the heaven and earth space, this time opting not to take the Candle Flame God with him. He was determined to reach the battlefield at all costs, even if it meant draining himself of energy and weakening his combat strength. The memory of the battle at Qingzhou City, where two desolate gods had appeared, still burned in his mind. There had been a sense that something bigger, someone more powerful, was pulling the strings behind them, an entity far beyond the reach of mere Tao Comprehension Realm demons. Li Hao pressed on, his speed now a blur, his every move leaving a trail of thunderous sound in his wake. His destination lay half the dynasty away, and there was no time to lose. At this point, keeping him in Yunzhou was pointless. There would be no intact eggs under an overturned nest unless betrayal was at play. Li Hao surged through the air, moving with the speed of lightning, his body almost a blur. He had sealed away the Candle Flame God and Xian in a safe space, leaving them behind as he sped forward alone. Despite knowing that this would drain his strength and diminish his combat capabilities by the time he arrived, Li Hao couldn't care less. The battle at Qingzhou City had left a lasting impression on him, especially the ominous presence he sensed behind the two desolate gods, an entity likely far more powerful, a true force of the Dao Law realm. From Yunzhou to Dayu, state was no short journey, yet Li Hao's speed was unmatched. He teleported, tearing through the air, creating thunderous blasts as he flew past, leaving only the echoes of his movement in his wake. The young man's name had become a legend. In a world filled with countless powerful figures, his reputation stood unparalleled. He was the young general who had risen from the Li family, an embodiment of strength and honor. One day, while passing by, he had unknowingly intervened in an event that brought him face to face with the Sword Saint, a figure of legend. It wasn't truly a rescue, as the threat they faced wasn't enough to kill the Elder, and they would have likely parted ways after a brief skirmish. Their previous encounters were few once when the Sword Saint was invited by the Li family, and another when his connections were sought for a battle, but their third meeting would be a far more significant one. With time, their roles had shifted, and seeing the Sword Saint now only reminded the young general of his own past, of days spent in a childhood courtyard, filled with memories of simpler times. He had little to say to the old man. His thoughts clouded, but before leaving, the Sword Saint stopped him with a sharp gaze. Jian Wudao looked at Li Hao and declared, "You may be strong, but I'm confident that Shui'er will surpass you in swordsmanship. Chosen by the Sword Saint, she's destined for greatness in the Sword Dao." His voice echoed with conviction, but Li Hao wasn't moved. He scoffed, boring, before teleporting away in a flash, unwilling to waste another second on such nonsense. As Jian Wudao watched him disappear, a mix of awe and doubt filled his eyes. "That's the true Sword Saint, from the Saint Realm," he shouted. Yet Li Hao's figure continued to flicker, covering miles in mere moments. The impact of the battle in Qingzhou City had left a mark on Jian Wudao, challenging his understanding of the sword. Could he have misjudged not just a person, but a sword? The battle had shattered his certainty, and it was a blow to his Dao heart, halting his progress on the path of the sword. Bian Ruxue's journey took a fateful turn when she became a disciple of a Sword Tao Saint, reigniting her Dao heart. The saint praised her highly, recognizing the hidden potential in her sword bone and the purity of her heart, which was essential to mastering the Sword Dao. While Li Hao's rising fame and formidable cultivation were undeniable, his strength in swordsmanship could never surpass Ruxue's talent in the field. Though Li Hao's path was filled with victories, Rushue's unique talent in swordsmanship would eventually surpass him. Jian Wudao, aware of his own Dao heart's near collapse, couldn't contain his urgency in expressing the truth her sword path was unassailable. Meanwhile, Li Hao pressed forward, relentlessly drawing from the heaven and earth vein as he raced against time to face a growing crisis, aware that even great power wouldn't be enough to stop the challenges ahead. Li Hao raced through the vast distance with unparalleled speed, covering hundreds of miles in a single breath. while others would have been drained by such a strain. His body was different, with open channels and a chi force far beyond ordinary mortals. And the power of the heaven and earth vein, Li Hao moved at this extravagant pace, covering the expanse of an entire dynasty in one go. Not even the mighty candle flame god could have kept up with him without succumbing to exhaustion. As he approached Dayu State, he encountered an ominous sight, demonic chi swirling ominously on the ground, signaling an invasion. The demons had already breached the border, and there was no sign of resistance. The lack of soldiers only added to the dread. Li Hao frowned, pushed forward, and soon reached the heart of the crisis. The Imperial City, a place he had never visited despite his many honors, lay in ruin. The walls, once symbols of power, were now overrun with demons. Shock and disbelief gripped him. He had expected the city to be in peril, but this was far worse than he had imagined. Despite its powerful array, the city had fallen. Li Hao arrived with a swift motion, cutting through the air like a streak of lightning. The city was still recovering from chaos, where a young man cloaked in black and a seductive woman with purple stripes were leisurely finishing off their victims from the Four Stands realm. Their focus was on cleaning up the mess, not engaging in the Imperial Palace battle. But when they sensed the wind shifting and saw a figure approaching, their interest peaked. However, when the figure came into full view, their expressions faltered. "It's him!" the woman gasped. Li Hao locked eyes with them, his gaze turning cold as he sped towards them. These two had crossed paths with his avatars before, but now they stood in the wake of their freshly stained lips. Li Hao's voice turned icy. "You dare seek death here!" The black-robed young man smirked, revealing his murderous intent. "You killed our avatars before, and now you've walked right into our trap." With that, the battle was about to ignite. Li Hao's movements were swift and silent, his figure flashing into view right in front of his opponent. In an instant, the young man in the black robe found himself stunned, unable to comprehend the suddenness of the attack. He hadn't detected any sign of the Taoist charm activation, which meant Li Hao's sudden appearance and the devastating move were tied to the mysterious force of the Dao Heart realm. Before he could react, Li Hao's fist collided with his face with the force of a storm, and soon, countless strikes followed, each blow hammering his skull. His head exploded in a shower of blood, eyes popping out in disbelief. The violent contact triggered the hidden attribute of the Yellow Sparrow diagram, causing a lethal surge of power. As his body crumbled, a soul-binding force gripped him, and though his headless body fought against it, trying to escape the inevitable, it was too late. A dark, suffocating power dragged the last of his strength into a bottomless abyss, and with the life-defying power being cut off, the 15-layer Dao domain sealed his fate. His body was consumed, and there was nothing left but ruin. With a sudden burst, the young man's body exploded under the influence of the 15-layer Dao domain, completely defenseless. The sequence of events unfolded in a flash, making it appear as though the warrior had teleported in an instant, delivering a fatal blow that shattered the head and body. Throughout the encounter, the black-robed figure had no time to react, standing stunned in place. Meanwhile, a beautiful woman with purple stripes standing beside him was gripped by fear, her cold smile quickly turning into horror as she retreated with a flash. But before she could escape, Li Hao vanished in a blink, reappearing behind her with incredible speed. His fists rained down, but her Dao power formed a protective barrier, preventing the full brunt of his attack. Unfazed, Li Hao drew upon a mortal chi, focusing it into his fist, which pierced through the protective force and crushed her head. The woman screamed in agony before her life was ripped away by the Yellow Sparrow diagram attribute. Li Hao's mastery over the 7 Dao extreme realms, especially the returning Ruins extreme realm, made such swift and lethal strikes effortless, even against the most formidable opponents. His abilities, including the Yellow Sparrow diagram's unique attributes, had made him a terrifying force capable of defeating even Dao Law realm enemies with ease. Having just eliminated 2 powerful foes, Li Hao's divine sense spread over the city, alerting him to a new crisis. He held the body of the once beautiful woman with purple stripes, now disintegrating, revealing her original, massive form. But in a sudden twist, the corpse was ripped from his grasp, shooting through the air like a cannonball towards the heart of the Imperial Palace.